VirtualBox allows you to run multiple operating systems on your computer at the same time. And here's how. Our first step is to download and install VirtualBox. VirtualBox runs on Windows, Linux, Solaris and Mac platforms, so we just choose the one that's right for us. At a very compact 30 to 60 megabytes, you can download this in a few minutes. And installing it is simplicity itself. Just a few clicks and you're done. But now we need to create our first virtual machine. To do this, we simply click on the New button in the VirtualBox console, and we're led through the new virtual machine wizard. We're asked to give the machine a name, let's call it Windows 7, and to select the type of guest operating system we want to install. So let's choose Windows 7 and click Next. Now we can decide how much memory our virtual machine will have in it. The default value is determined by the type of the OS that we just chose, and for Windows 7 we're recommended to use 512 megabytes. When allocating memory to virtual machines, be sure never to allocate more memory than you've actually got in your host PC. Next, we're asked about the virtual hard disk for our virtual machine. A virtual hard disk is just a file in the real world, and we're asked if we have one already or are we creating a brand new one. Let's do that. Now, the virtual disk wizard asks us if we want to create a fixed size disk or one that grows to a maximum size. Let's choose one of them with a limit of 20 gigabytes, and we'll call this virtual disk image Windows 7 2. Now, a few more clicks and we've created an empty virtual machine. When we start up this virtual machine, VirtualBox spots that this is the first time we've run this, and we need to install an operating system into it, in this case, Windows 7. Normally when installing operating systems, you would have to go and find Setup Disk 1, and we could do that here, but instead I've got an ISO image of a Windows setup disk, so I'm going to mount that into my virtual machine, and because the boot order is set to find the CD before the hard disk, it should just boot off our setup disk image. So there we are, and we simply install Windows as usual. Now, finally, we're asked to restart our virtual machine and reboot. And now we're booting Windows 7 on our Mac, alongside of our other Mac applications. For optimal performance and for some of the more powerful features of VirtualBox, it's best to install the guest editions, which we mount just like this. These are utilities and drivers which make the overall use of VirtualBox much smoother. And they're easy to install because they come on a virtual CD image, and now we can install them just like any other Windows components. And once we've done this, we can restart Windows. Now let's take a closer look at some of the powerful features that make VirtualBox so popular. When you're using your guest, you can have it display in several ways. For example, in a window like this, which you can dynamically resize, or you can go full screen like this. Or you can use seamless windows and have the application windows float alongside your host application windows just as though they were native. And this seamless way of working extends to file systems too, with the shared folders feature of VirtualBox. So let's say someone sends me a document which none of my Mac applications understand. I can share my Mac folders with the Windows guest so that my Windows applications can open it. The virtual devices that VirtualBox provides to the guest are very powerful. Gigabit Ethernet, serial ATA and SCSI disk controllers, and USB 2 support too. So I can plug in my USB devices into my Mac and my Windows guest can access them. And VirtualBox even supports graphics acceleration in the guest too, so you can run high-end OpenGL or Direct3D design or games applications as smoothly as running them natively. With our simple Windows 7 desktop example, we created a virtual machine that had just one virtual CPU in it. But when you use VirtualBox to run server-class workloads, it is just as easy to create SMP, or symmetric multiprocessor virtual machines, capable of running heavyweight data processing workloads. With high-end features such as the ability to take snapshots of your guests so that you can roll back to known good states, the ability to export and import virtual machines to move, share, or publish systems easily, the ability to access your virtual machine console remotely over RDP, especially important when you're running VMs on the server, or the ability to store your virtual hard drives on a central storage server and access them through the high-speed iSCSI protocol. VirtualBox is rich, powerful, and fast.